What's up, guys? Here I am back again with Franchise Frenzy Part 2s, ranking the Part 2s. There was some surprise movement on here. A number of these I had to watch for the first time, so I've been having a great time with this. It's also been a great time. I've also had a great time revisiting some of my old favorites. I just watched Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 this morning. That's one that holds a lot of nostalgia for me. I saw that in the theater, so we'll see how that fares in the rankings. And Revenge of Frankenstein I just watched the other night. That was possibly only the second time I've seen that. For some reason I've seen some of the other sequels more frequently. And a lot of these, like the Return of the Fly, I mean, huge nostalgia for me from when I was a kid. I don't have physical copies of all of these, unfortunately, to show you. So we'll just do the best we can. But we'll start with number 10, my 10th favorite, is one I don't have a physical copy, and I don't have the first one on hand, but without a doubt, number 10, and it's a bit of a drop from Part 1, which I really enjoy, which actually only came in 7th, but it seems like it was a much better movie than 7th place. Part 10 is Pumpkinhead 2, Blood Wings. Just simply not as good as the first one. Some pretty good cast members. You got Kane Hodder in a small role. Some good elements that were perhaps a bit repetitive of the first one. There's a little poignant backstory about the main character sticking up for a deformed child who was bullied. And the bullying, of course, brings Pumpkinhead back. The Pumpkinhead effects were good. You know, he looks good. He didn't look as large and as menacing in the first one. And you also had the sort of stunt casting of Roger Clinton as Mayor Bubba, which was kind of humorous. I could take or leave that casting, but he was actually not too bad, to be honest with you. But overall, you know, this one really makes you appreciate what Lance Henriksen brought to the first one. Number 9, I did give this film another chance. I watched it last night. I've never been too big on this one. A lot of people seem to like this one as much as the first one. Conjuring 2. You know, I've always been very dubious of the actual case, so I tried to not let that color my sort of opinion of the sequel. I tried to just watch it as a movie. I think they tried to cram in too much. I mean, you have the nun, and then the Crooked Man, I thought was a little superfluous, to sort of added to the runtime, and I just didn't like it as much as the first one. By the time I got to the end, I was a little tired. I was not especially gripped by the climax. Well acted, well shot. Boy, there's some scenes when the camera is moving about the house. Really good stuff. Really good stuff. Just didn't like it as much. So number 9, Conjuring 2. Number 8 is Saw 2, which is interesting because Saw came in 8 on my number 1s. And I'm kind of, you know, I didn't like Saw 2 as much. The syringe scene has lived rent-free in my head for a long time. Pretty good sequel. I don't have much more to say about it. I did enjoy a lot of aspects of it, but I just prefer the first one. And yet they're the same. They're both number 8, which is interesting, the way that worked out. Number 2 dropped a little bit from the first one. I thought maybe it might be the same, but it's just, I guess the competition is a little stiff here. Nightmare on Elm Street 2, as I mentioned, watched it this morning. Saw it in the theater. I don't have a physical copy of that. I watched it on YouTube, to be honest with you. Enjoyed it. Trip down memory lane. I love the King Cobra poster on the wall. That's a heavy metal group. I love the cereal was called Fu Manchu. Really good. I thought everybody in it did a good job. This is Mean Freddy. This isn't Funny Freddy, and I did enjoy it, but it is nevertheless at number 7. Number 6 climbed up a little bit. I really enjoyed this one. I'm not going to talk about it too much because I did review it. I gave it a mini review in a video I made recently. Puppet Master 2, they're back, no strings attached. As I said, they introduced Torch. I just really liked this one. I felt like they hit their stride. I just enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. I'm looking forward to part 3. I don't have any memory of part 3, to be honest with you, so we'll see how that does. But Puppet Master 2, number 6. Number 5. Wow, this blew me away. I really enjoyed this. Subspecies 2, Bloodstone. And another film I talked about in that video, where I gave a lot of mini reviews, so I won't say too much about it, but effects-wise, they upped the ante here. There's a head reattachment. You have a new character, the mom of Radu. She is awesome. Denise Duff and Melanie Shatner are very good in this. I thought it was better than the first one, and that surprised me. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was actually going to be higher, but nevertheless, Subspecies 2 comes in at number 5. At 4, we have a little flip-flop for 3 and 4. Return of the Fly. Objectively as good as the first one? No. The first one I had at number 3. I have this at number 4. But you get more Vincent Price. And you have a lot of good ideas. Some of them work and some of them kind of don't. You have the Fly this time has an oversized head that perhaps is a little distracting, but he also has another body part that turns into the Fly. A Fly's body part that you didn't have in the first one. Great sound effects there. So Return of the Fly, favorite of mine from childhood. It seemed like Return of the Fly was on TV a lot more than The Fly when I was a kid. Number 3, Revenge of Frankenstein. Really great sequel. Also directed by Terrence Fisher, which certainly helps. Screenplay by Jimmy Sangster. You know, produced by Anthony Hines. All the Hammer veterans are back for this one. Cushing is now, Peter Cushing, Baron Frankenstein is now operating under the synonym of Dr. Stein, because, you know, that's hard to figure out. And so he has escaped from the first one. He's escaped the guillotine from the first one. He has an assistant. He has a new lab. He has a critic of his who then becomes an ally, and this time he's trying to transplant a brain into a new subject. And the twist here is they have a willing subject. One of his assistants is crippled and wants a new body, so they're going to transplant a live brain this time. The monster, so to speak, isn't really so much of a monster. It's just Michael Gwynn, the actor, a great actor. He's just a tall guy. Whereas in later films, they're going to use wrestlers like Kiwi Kingston and people like David Prowse, who of course was a bodybuilder. So in this one, they very much set the tone that the focus is on Dr. Frankenstein, not the monster. That's not to say that there aren't gore effects in this. As a matter of fact, the censors in Great Britain had a fit with this movie because you get to see the process. He's got jars and eyeballs, he's got jars of brains. He's got eyeballs in jars. He's stimulating them with electricity. They're moving around, and that's where most of the gore effects come in. But there's not much of a monster in this one. Nevertheless, it is really a solid sequel. Number 3 on my list. Number 2, and I really was surprised it turned out this way, but number 2 is the same as last time. Phantasm was my number 2 for part 1s. Phantasm 2, oh, there you go. That's pretty cool. There's James LeGros, of course, taking over the role of Michael. And I saw this only recently, and it blew me away. I mean, I saw it about a year ago when I bought this set. Blew me away. Blew me away. I did not know that it was a special effects extravaganza. Phenomenal effects. Some good character actors are added to the story. Just really blew me away. I mean, I couldn't believe how good it was, and that I had never seen it. That's all there is to it. It's an awesome follow-up to the first one. Which, of course, leaves number 1, which I sadly don't have in my collection. I've been assembling my Dead collection, so I will have the part 3, which I have not seen in a long, long time. I'm really looking forward to this one. Whereas my number 1, which, of course, is Dawn of the Dead, very, very familiar with this. Remember being mesmerized by it when a bunch of us rented it in high school. I've seen it many times since. I've seen it. It's on YouTube. It was on the Newcastle After Dark channel, so I watched it on there a few times. Yeah, I've just seen it many, many times. Number 1, Dawn of the Dead. It's just a classic. I love it. And there you go, guys. Those are my part 2s. What do you think of my ranking? Any surprises? And I'll be back next month with my part 3s. I'm really curious to see how some of these, especially Day of the Dead, are going to fare. Puppet Master 3, Day of the Dead. I really have no idea where they're going to rank. So Subspecies 3 I've already seen, but I'm not going to give you any hints yet. So come back again for part 3. Okay, guys, thanks for tuning in to my ranking of the part 2s for Franchise Frenzy. Come back next month and make sure you tune in to all the other channels. And this was created by Joe the Horror Man and Jason at Horrific Nightmares JM. So make sure you check out those channels. And thanks a lot.